Reddit. What is something a high school teacher told you, that you will never forget? On September 11th, while classes were all but cancelled, most teachers just rolled in TVs and left the news on. Not Jim R. He got up and lectured, to the groans of students. He talked about the effects this would have on the economy, our politics, our culture, and society. And he was right. In somewhat broad strokes, of course. But this was literally hours after the towers collapsed. When so much was still unknown, frightening and tragic. It really gave me what I would consider a solid base of understanding the things that would come in the next decade. He talked about how traveling would change with restrictive security measures, how politics would take advantage of terrorism, how the wars we will engage will be paid for by my generation, my kids' generation, and so on. He talked about how racism will spike toward Middle Eastern peoples out of anger and fear, and how that is totally wrong. As a vet and former cop, he cautioned us to not join the military while emotions ran high and a sense of patriotism was thick in our veins. It was a gift. As the years went on, WMDs, the Iraq War, TSA, Department of Homeland Security all came about. I felt like I already knew. I will never forget that fourth period class. I had a gym teacher that was known for being strict/rude. He actively would make kids cry on the regular. Anyway, after my dad passed away, he was still super strict towards me. But one day after track practice, he caught me in the hall and said, "Your dad would be so proud of you." It caught me so off guard, I actually cried. So he did live to his reputation of making kids cry. Leave your verbal guns at the door. This was the HS football coach's first words teaching sex ed at my high school. He used the metaphor of the old American West, where cowboys would leave their guns at the door when they entered a saloon to drink so nobody would get killed in a drunken outburst. He said we'd talk about a lot of topics that might make us feel uncomfortable and tempted to make a joke at someone else's expense to break the tension. He asked us to leave our verbal guns at the door so everyone could feel comfortable asking honest questions. This was back in the late 80s. He was way ahead of his time. My high school biology teacher, on the end of every quiz or exam, would put a giveaway point question. The question was always the same: science is, A, exciting, B, interesting, C, a challenge, D, all of the above. No matter which you marked, you got the point. However, since this was on every exam, the saying was sandblasted into my long-term memory. This led to me always somehow muttering this whenever I was taking an exam in university, substituting the word science with whatever necessary. Then it led to me muttering it whenever I was dealing with something stressful. Now it has become a fallback whenever I run into a life roadblock and everything is simply designated A, exciting, B, interesting, C, a challenge, D, all of the above. It's simple, but it helps keep me from being too negative. Coming up to our final year 12 exams, my maths teacher handed out an article on the most common things people said on their deathbed. She said no one wished they had worked longer hours, that they had spent more time at work than with their loved ones. If we didn't get the grades we wanted, that's okay, because there'll be a back doors to where we wanted to go. Failure is okay. It's only a minor setback. What's important is having a good balance between work/studies, family/friends, and our own hobbies/interest. I'm 32 and at a crossroads in life right now. I can either keep working this shit plastic factory job that's toxic in more way than one but pays well, or I can say fuck it and accept the position at Target that I applied for so I can work less hours, make less money, but hopefully have a better schedule for going back to school and finally doing something with my life. Reading this, I think I need to make that change. Edit. Thanks for the support everyone, this blew up way more than I thought it would and the kind words truly helped. Best history teacher I ever had was a substitute. Final day of his weeks-long run, I told him as much and asked him why he didn't do it full time. He said he'd like to, but he doesn't coach any sports. All the coaches are history teachers because they can get away with spitting out names and dates and descriptions, and that counts. His style was more cause and effect, and while more engaging, it wasn't deemed necessary by the school board. I said you should move to a better area. He said not, he liked it here because it's where he grew up and where he'd die. He confided in me that he had a terminal disease. Died the next year. In my childhood, only one person ever tackled my mother about her abuse of me and my siblings. It was Parents' Day, and my bitch of a mother, as usual, turned up to take the credit for my being top of the class again. At one point there was just me, my bitch of a mother, and Mrs. Soames, physics teacher. In the lab, Mrs. Soames quite calmly challenged her, saying, "Mrs. XXXXX, why do you treat Tom Stoutier the way you do? She's a good girl and doesn't deserve it." To my astonishment, my evil bitch of a mother was speechless. No one had ever confronted her before, and she just didn't know where to put herself. It was easy for the other teachers and pupils to make snide, patronizing remarks about this cow to me. A 13-year-old girl isn't in a position to do anything about it, and I'm guessing they were trying to ease their consciences about the fact that they were too cowardly to intervene. But Mrs. Soames has been a role model for me ever since, and an unforgettable example of those people brave enough to tackle a bully in the presence of their victim. To have someone stand by you when you are vulnerable, and make their support for you clear, I can't tell you how that changed my view of other people. I had an English teacher my freshman year of high school who was one of the rare adults that treated all of his students with respect while at the same time challenging us to do better. I distinctly remember him telling our class, "You are not as mature as you think you are, but you are more mature than your parents give you credit for." He also told us about an agreement/rule he had with his own kids. He understood how hard it was for kids to do the right thing in the face of peer pressure. So he had told his kids that if they were ever in a situation, underage drinking, drugs, whatever, where they knew they shouldn't be, they could call, and using an previously agreed upon code word that was banal and unsuspicious, he would know he needed to go get them and be the bad guy. He would show up, Uncle Buck style, and get them out of wherever they were. This would allow them to save face with their friends, and there would be no consequences for being the situation in the first place. Struggled with dyslexia and a learning disability my whole life. English class was hell for me every year. Senior year, my lit teacher read some short story that was required of me and said, "What the fuck are you doing here? You are starting in my AP Lit class starting tomorrow." I passed the AP test, and my entire life really began because he believed in me. I'm now a high school teacher, and while not as great as him, really think I'm doing good work. Edit. Went to bed with -2 karma on this post, woke up with 5,000, holy hell. Thanks for the support, guys. Just to clarify, I teach US history. I still struggle with my dyslexia. He wasn't a cure but a motivator. I had a passion for history though. Thanks again, everyone. Class camp, we're out walking a trail to the next campsite, carrying our lives in our packs. I was not in great physical shape and was well back in the rear. So it's basically just me and one teacher to make sure no one fell too far back. We came to a part where a branch had fallen across the trail. Big enough to be an effort to move it, but not so large that it couldn't have been moved by any of the 30+ other students and teachers that had already walked around it. Without even thinking about it, I grabbed the branch and tossed it to the side of the path. The teacher said to me, 30 boys walked past that branch. It took one man to move it, and he made life easier for every person after him. It became a personal motto, of sorts, make it easier for the people who come after you. Although when you do a good job, the person who comes after you is usually also you. My music teacher, when I spent a large length of time skipping school due to various reasons. She had phoned me after spending hours tracking a way to contact me because she was worried. I'm not phoning to tell you off, I'm phoning to make sure you're okay. You don't have to go to the classes you don't like, your exam is on WED and I'm phoning to let you know, no matter what I know that you'd still be practicing because you're a bright student and I know you'll go far no matter what you choose to do. That is incredibly touching. What a great person. Sometimes you just need someone to believe in you until you can do it yourself. Thank you for watching/hearing. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more forum videos, you may even click the bell. Leave a comment if you want to, and click the next video to get to another video.